Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball, and it's a day game. This afternoon from downtown St. Louis and Busch Stadium, the Cardinals try to earn a split. It's the Miami Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals on Fox Sports Midwest. Jim Hayes is here. That's Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and welcome to Cardinals baseball. Let's jump right into it. Offensively, the Cardinals trying to get things going. Jed Jerko back in the lineup, and he's our BJC Healthcare difference maker.
Yeah, it's nice to have him back. He's tied for the team lead in home runs with Matt Carpenter, and he has been very consistent all season long. Right around 300, a lot of big hits for Jed Jerko. He ranks up with average slugging percentage and OPS, and he's played a very good third base for St. Louis.
Michael Wacha gets the call for St. Louis. Tom Kohler will go this afternoon for the Miami Marlins. Jed Jerko, the BJC Healthcare difference maker. Before our first pitch, we're going to talk about pine tar. What in tarnation is he going to talk about? That's coming up with Rick.
One of the most famous incidents in all of baseball, the George Brett Pine Tar game. Plenty of controversy around that moment in baseball. We're here to talk Pine Tar with Paul DeJong, the Cardinals shortstop. And for those who are new to baseball, especially, Paul, tell us, why do you use Pine Tar on a bat?
Use Pine Tar to help your hands stick to the handle a little bit better. Most guys are coming to the lizard skin nowadays, but I'm more old school, and I stick with the Pine Tar.
So we talked about the why there, but how about the how? How do you apply Pine Tar? And I know there are multiple ways to do that, but what do you do?
I like to use the rag. A lot of guys use the stick, but for me, I just put it kind of above the ink dot right here and grab it with my gloves, and then keep it from being on the handle too much. I don't like it to glob up on the handle, but I keep it up here near the barrel where I can touch it and get some stick on my gloves.
And for those that don't know, you have to use it in the first 18 inches of the bat. That's been an issue of late. I want to ask you about pitchers using Pine Tar. Now, I have to ask this for the brotherhood of pitchers. Are you for or against pitchers using it? That's been part of baseball's history too, pitchers hiding it on their neck, on their hat, etc. How do you feel about that?
I think as long as it's not obvious, there's no way we can tell. So I think it's part of the game, and like you said, it's been around for a while. So as long as it's not so obvious and so blatant, I think that it's something that's just a part of the game, and we accept that.
That's Paul DeJong talking Pine Tar. Michael Wacha pitching for the split today with the Marlins. Cardinals baseball is next.
By Bud Light, famous among friends. By Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road. Find yours at your local Mid-America Chevy dealer. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. Beautiful day here in the Gateway City. Live look at Michael Wacha as he's finishing up his warm-up pitches and getting set for the top of the first inning. Mike Matheny's club with 2 straight losses, now 5.5 games back in the NL Central Division.
Cardinals need to run the table here going into the All-Star break to finish at 500. That would be a nice number. Michael Wacha has the chore today. We just have to tell Michael Wacha it's his birthday again. Last time out, he was terrific against the Nationals. That came on the 1st of July, which happened to be his birthday. He went 6 innings and had 9 strikeouts in that game. The Hyundai pitch arsenal for Wacha: fastball, change, cutter, and curveball. The more he uses his off-speed pitches, the more he has confidence in them. the better he is.
So Michael Wacha and the Cardinals taking on a Miami club that has won 3 of their last 4 in scoring 30 runs in those 4 games. Led by D. Gordon, then JT Realmuto, Christian Yelich, Marcelo Zuni's had a big series, Justin Bour, Martin Prado, Ichiro Suzuki's in right. So no Giancarlo Stanton, JT Riddle at short. Tom Kohler is on the mound. He'll bat 9th as you get a look at Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly, the manager of the Miami Marlins. The first pitch to D. Gordon is taken high, and we're underway. He's batting .288, no home runs, and he's driven in 18. The corners are in, and that's popped foul out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Very shallow in the outfield against Gordon, and the risky run there is if he plugs a gap, it's a triple. Trying to do is take away the blue pit, the little flare, because if he gets a flare and gets on, it's a double the way he runs.
Well, Michael Wacha 3-0 in his last 5 starts and has really cut down on his walks. Just 8 free passes over the last 26 innings.
I just like his delivery better. I don't think he's rushed as much. I think he's in more command of what he's doing with his body. He's slower at the start of his delivery.
And a base hit into center field. Leadoff hit for D. Gordon.
Elevated a bit. And well struck. Gordon's been swinging a hot bat of late. Former batting champion. Tough out.
Here's JT Realmuto, the catcher, in the second spot. Normally occupied by Giancarlo Stanton, who popped 2 home runs last night in Game 3 of this series. And you may see that time and again. Throwing over and checking on D. Gordon, and why not? One of the best base stealers in the game today. D. Gordon with 29 stolen bases. He's been caught 6 times.
One of the reasons Mattingly has the right-handed batting Realmuto in the second spot, or Stanton on normal days, is he likes to spread out the left-handers. He's got the left, right, left, right, left, right. So when it gets late in the game, you can't neutralize the left-handed batters with a left-handed specialist.
Good breaking ball, drops in for his strike. His off-speed stuff continues to be some of his better pitches. Opponents, though, are really squaring up the fastball to a tune of a .318 average. One ball and 1 strike. The outfield is straight away. You're a former pitcher in the big leagues, former pitching coach at the pro level. You get a guy like Gordon on the mound. As a right-handed pitcher, you're a lefty, but what do you try to tell Michael Wacha in these kind of spots with a guy like Gordon at first base?
Vary your moves. Don't be afraid to hold the ball. And if you're going to have the pickoff move, be quick with your feet first.
Pretty good jump. Molina's throw to second, not in time. He did hold it for quite a long time, Michael Wacha, to vary up the speed to the plate. But it's stolen base number 30 for D. Gordon.
Really learned that talking to Tim Raines years ago about what is it that we can do that disrupts you the most. Also had that conversation with Vince Coleman, who talk about premier base stealers, both those guys, and what they both said was, when you hold the ball, it makes me tight and intense.
And a fly ball into right field. Catch is made by Martinez, and he lobs it in. The throw to third is not in time. A mistake by Jose Martinez. And a heads-up play by D. Gordon.
Well, he just picks him clean there. He tags up, and then the lob throw, and he says, I can make that. And now the panic to try to get him, not in time. That's a mistake. Outfielders Outfielder 101. Don't hold the baseball. Don't do that. Get rid of it, and certainly don't lob it. Good firm throw. And that's exactly what Tommy Pham did a week or so ago, going from first to second base. That's a big time mistake. Now he's in scoring position with 1 out.
Here's Christian Yelich. Good curveball, and there's strike 1.
Let's say better scoring position with 1 out.
Yelich, 271 the average. It is 8th home run the other day against Lance Lynn. And he's driven in 41. 0-2. Michael Wacha, the last Cardinals starter to get a quality start. 6 scoreless and a win over the Nationals on Saturday. And he struck out 9 in that game, which was a season high. Here's the 0-2. The changeup in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One and 2 the count here on Christian Yelich with D. Gordon the runner at third. Struck him out. Gets the first strikeout of the afternoon. Ricky, you talked pine tar with Paul DeYoung. A reason why this is Sunday.
So you've got 18 inches from the handle of the bat up towards the barrel, and if there's pine tar above that, you've got to get a new bat. Now, one of the things that's happened in this game after George Brett, now he ended up hitting a home run with Stanton's bat, which I guess begs the question how important that pine tar really was. But the George Brett incident, for those who don't remember that, George Brett had a home run taken away momentarily by Tim McClellan.
Into shallow right, base hit by Ozuna. So he struck out Yelich to get the second out. Ozuna with the base hit into right field, RBI number 65.
Gordon probably would have scored from second on that, so the defensive issue probably not contributory towards that run. Jam shot, base hit. Talked about the pine tar with George Brett. That ruling was reversed. The home run was given back to George Brett. And the rule as it's stated now is if the umpire sees that, they take the bat out, but there's no penalty. They just won't let you use it. And the whole idea is they don't want pine tar to get on the baseball. That's been part of it, is they want the ball to be pristine and white and not marred by a substance, because then the pitcher might know what to do with that.
And now I'm not sure it even matters, because every ball is thrown out of play if it hits the dirt. It was the 11th RBI in the month of July for Marcell Ozuna. That leads all of baseball after D. Gordon's 30th stolen base, and that's the 4th consecutive year that he's done that.
Home plate is 17 inches wide, Dan. That's why they use home plate to measure where the pine tar is on a bat. And you think about why it's important to have some pine tar. Christian Yelich didn't have a good grip on the bat on a changeup here yesterday and threw the bat into the Cardinals dugout. That could be dangerous.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Bohr, and he struck him out. 2 strikeouts in the inning, but a 2-out RBI base hit by Ozuna. RBI number 65, and it's 1-0 Miami. Bottom of the first. RBI by Marcell Ozuna to drive in D. Gordon. Tom Kohler getting the start today. It'll be Matt Carpenter to lead things off for the Cardinals, then Tommy Pham and Jose Martinez. Jed Jerko, Yadier Molina, Luke Voigt, Randall Grichuk, Greg Garcia. He's at short today, and Michael Wacha, the pitcher, batting ninth. Been a rough year for Tom Kohler.
Sure has. He's making start number 10. And the issue with Kohler, who's been a solid guy in their rotation for the last few years, he's been a guy they can count on for a lot of innings. He's not been a world beater, but he's been a solid guy. Takes the ball every fifth day. There's his Hyundai pitch arsenal: fastball, slider, curve, and change. But he tried to make himself better this offseason, and he changed his delivery to improve himself, but he actually went backwards and has gotten sent to the AAA to work on trying to get back to who he was before. He's trying to make the ball run a little bit more left and right, and it was not working.
A strike to Carpenter. Well, you know the Marlins would love to see him go deep in this game. Edinson Volquez, we were wondering why he left early in the contest last night. Left knee issues, so he left after 4 innings. The starters have combined for 19 1/3 over the last 5 days. So they've used a lot of David Phelps, Kyle Barraclough, AJ Ramos. They pitched in 2 straight games, but I think you get the point. They need him to go a little bit deeper today. Two balls and 2 strikes. Toyota keys to the game. Get to the relievers.
One of the positives for Don Mattingly is the fact that he has 9 relievers out there.
Tom Kohler against the Cardinals, 5 career starts, ERA of 7.62. Back on May 10th, 4 runs in 5 1/3. The Marlins lost that game late 7-5. A 3-2 pitch to Carpenter. Hit out of play. Very nice interview with Paul DeJong, and the explanation that you had from Paul, and the grip and pine tar and why it's used. Highest ERA against St. Louis. Active pitchers, Kohler at the top of that list.
I say it's fun to be around Paul DeJong. He is acting like a big leaguer. He's only 23. Like what we've seen from him as a shortstop, and he was pleased to try to educate the fans that maybe don't know about some of the simple things that we talk about in baseball. And everybody's been around the game for 40 years says, well, that's elementary. Well, you're just coming to baseball and you want to learn something about it. It's just nice of him to do that.
A lot of souvenirs off the bat here of Matt Carpenter early on. 8 pitches in this at bat. Carpenter, no gloves, not a lot of pine tar, but there he has it near the barrel, which is what you were talking about.
I was really surprised to learn in researching it.
Leadoff walk.
That it really was until the 1950s when it became popular as far as usage. Ted Williams, one of the early guys to do it. The idea they could get a better grip without squeezing the bat. You squeeze the bat, Dan, your bat speed's slower. So you want a good grip without having to choke it. Pitchers would say the same thing about a baseball. Can't squeeze a baseball and throw it hard.
Here's Tommy Pham. He's had a nice series with the exception of game 2, in which he struck out 4 times. Game 1 on base 5 times. And last night a pair of doubles. Dobbs Tired Auto Center is around the horn. Ozuna, Yelich, and Ichiro in the outfield. Prado, Riddle, Gordon, and Bohr on the infield. Real Muto is behind the plate.
We haven't talked about Riddle much, but he's played a very good shortstop. Ichiro, of course, an outstanding outfielder, but I've liked the range of Riddle. We've gotten used to seeing good shortstop play from Echeverria over the years as a Marlin, but he's gone behind second base 2 or 3 times in this series, and he's made some smooth plays. I like him.
Oh, 0-2 the count here on Tommy Pham. Now time is called.
Take it easy. Four pumps, I guess.
Hit to the right side. Gordon diving stop and the out at first base. What a play by D. Gordon, a former Gold Glover.
Well, Gordon stole a run in the first inning with his speed, and his defensive speed takes away a base hit from Tommy Pham. Very close play at first base, by the way. A lot of ground covered, quick feet, and the quick throw. Pham hustling all the way. I love the way Pham is hitting the ball to the right side of the field, by the way. He can turn on an off-speed pitch where you make a mistake, but if he keeps that stroke to the right side, I think he's going to keep that average up around 300, which is where he is.
Runner at second, and here's Jose Martinez with one out. So we saw the play in right field by Martinez in which he lobbed the ball back in. Gordon took advantage of it. A play like last night, DeYoung not taking third base on a base hit to right, which he should have. And they're young players. We get it. Mistakes do happen. But I'm curious, when is that addressed by a coach or manager, or is it even addressed because they know the mistake's been made?
Well, I think it's the latter. I think it's the second that he threw the ball into the infield and D. Gordon took off, he knew exactly what happened, and he knew his mistake. And you could say what you want to him as a teammate or as a coach or as a manager, but I mean, whatever they're saying is not going to be as loud as what you're already saying to yourself, because and Martinez isn't young. He's 29. He's been around. He understands that what he did was a mistake. And you know, if somebody doesn't recognize that it's a mistake and you read by their body language that they don't get it, then you got to start coaching. But this is, you know, at this level, Dan, you ought to know that. And if you want to reinforce it because it's happened 4 times and the lesson's not getting heard enough, or the change in behavior is not happening, that's when the manager, if you really want accountability, the best way to do it is don't play them.
Yeah.
And you're not going to take your third guy out of the lineup here in the first inning of a game. Wouldn't suggest that you should.
2-2 the count. Missouri Lottery Fox Tracks. We hear, though, at this level now teaching is done more than ever.
No question about that. That's true.
And that's not necessarily, though, teaching. I mean, that's, hey, you know, you made a mistake, go get him. A little pat on the back kind of thing.
Well, and some of the when can happen at 3 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game when they're doing drills. You're not going to forget it. I think there's, chatted with some Cardinal coaches, one of the things they're thinking through is that the faster you deal with it, the better off it is, instead of talking about a mistake that you did 4 days ago or 5 days ago or last week. My guess is that will be addressed tomorrow. But, you know, to browbeat Jose Martinez in the first inning of a game that you're trying to win is probably counterproductive.
2-2 the count here on Martinez. Runner at second base, Matt Carpenter, 1-0 our score. And a strikeout of Jose Martinez. First strikeout for Kohler. Tom Kohler is a native of the Bronx. Grew up a Yankees fan. And you guessed it, his favorite player, Don Mattingly, who's now his manager. And Donnie Baseball, 14 years as a player. His lifetime average was .307. He won 9 Gold Gloves, a 6-time All-Star, and has a plaque in Monument Park at Yankee Stadium. One of the great players, Don Mattingly. Here's Jed Jerko, and there's a strike. Mike Schilt, the third base coach. Dylan Carpenter, get a little bit bigger lead. 0-1 pitch. Jerko back in the starting lineup, hitting .301 with 12 homers, and he's driven in 42. Kohler last year went 9-13, 4.33 ERA. His last 3 years, he's made at least 30 starts. The year before that, it was 23. So he's the kind of guy that can eat some innings, win right, make that start every 5th day. In good ball clubs, you need these kind of pitchers. Big gap in left center, and the 2-1 pitch. 2-2. So 2 outs, runner at second, and a 2-2 pitch. Strikeout of Jerko at 2 in the inning. Back-to-back of Martinez and Jerko. We head to inning number 2, and it's 1-0 Miami. Grichuk in left, Pham in center, Martinez in right, Jerko, Garcia, Carpenter, and Boyd on the infield. Yachty behind the plate. More on Randall. Let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, Grichuk back in the starting lineup today. Dan once again trying to get himself on track offensively. Grichuk just 2 for 21 on the homestand with 9 strikeouts. Grichuk told me he knows the numbers aren't good, but he told me he feels like his swing is in a better place. He's doing a better job of not chasing. He said, I don't feel like I'm struggling right now. I've just had a couple of bad games where I got frustrated at the plate. Grichuk told me he was aware of John Mozeliak's sink or swim comment, but he said he already knew that. He told me, I know I need to produce to get myself in the lineup. I know I need to produce if I want to stay up here. Dan, he's trying to find that balance between the guy that drives the ball and the guy with better plate discipline. Not easy.
Not easy at all as you get a look at Martin Prado. John Mozeliak also has backed off that comment a little bit too. He said, well, sink or swim, yes, to an extent, but we will give him every opportunity to have ruts, to have down times, and to have the good times that come along with it too.
So they'll give him some period of time while he's sinking to let him sink a little bit further, but there's a point at which every player in baseball knows it's sink or swim. It's all about production, isn't it? Doesn't matter who you are, how long you've played. If you can't produce, you won't play. They'll find somebody who can. That's just the harsh reality of this game.
A changeup to Prado in the 3rd strikeout for Michael Wacha, and it brings in Ichiro. who leads Major League Baseball with 13 pinch hits, number 13 last night. 3,052 hits in the major leagues. Turns on that pitch and pulls it foul. His debut was back in 2001 with Seattle. The hit last night was off of Luke Weaver, who at that time when Ichiro made his debut was 7 years old. It's incredible, really.
I was 10 years old. I watched Nolan Ryan pitch at Shea Stadium in New York, 1969. He was a rookie. Yeah, and he was just an abnormally hard-throwing pitcher. Everybody knew about Nolan Ryan already, even at 19. So I retired before he did.
Ichiro base hit into left. And Rick Horton, your first major league hit was off of.
I was so excited that you asked. Nolan Ryan, of course. Classic Ichiro Suzuki. Going the other way. What did we say yesterday? He's done that 4,000 times.
The St. Louis native, by the way, Brad Lefton, follows Ichiro just about every stop along the way working for Japanese television.
I would think it would be hard to be his hitting coach. Because what he does is not what everybody else does. It's his style and it works. And be hard to say, okay, so when you lean and then when you fall away, you need to keep your hands. I mean, what do you say? It's just not the classic style. At least in the United States, it's not.
Here's JT Riddle. That was hit number 3,053 for Ichiro. And he's now tied with Rod Carew for 24th place all time in hits in Major League Baseball.
You said he wants to play till he's 50? I wouldn't bet against him.
And he came over to Major League Baseball here in the States at the age of 27. Late with that swing, 1-2. We were talking about the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum yesterday, and Ichiro has actually donated numerous items. Some believe the most of any player to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum and the Hall of Fame. There's a great appreciation for the entire game of baseball and what it's meant for he and his family, and just the history of it, always trying to learn more about it. 2 balls, 2 strikes on JT Riddle. And a fly ball out to right field.
Got away with that pitch.
Jose Martinez with the catch. Home Run Derby is coming up as you get a look at Tom Kohler. That'll be Monday night. T-Mobile Home Run Derby, followed by the All-Star Game Tuesday on Fox. So 2 outs and a runner at first, and the batter is Tom Kohler. And he looks at a strike. Kohler was an 18th round pick, the draft class of 2008. 0-2. Walker looking for strikeout number 4.
Watch out.
There's a look at Giancarlo Stanton with 2 home runs last night. The 4th Marlin to hit 2 home runs in a game in St. Louis. Josh Willingham, Cliff Floyd, Moises Alou, and now Stanton.
And he looks so comfortable there, Dan. I think he should sit right there for about 3 hours.
Walker agrees.
Yeah, I mean, give him some rest. He seems very content. He could play tomorrow.
Here's the 0-2. He is the #1 seed in the home run derby. They seed the players now. His teammate Justin Bour also will compete Monday night.
They scheduled the slider down and away derby yet?
That's what you want to be a part of, right?
Oh yeah, I want to see that.
I take it you're not much of a fan of the home run derby.
I just think there are more skills in baseball than hitting home runs. I'm not saying they would be as exciting to watch, but if you're trying to understand baseball, I want to see the running first to third derby.
Fly ball out of play. With 2 strikes, Martinez very shallow and right, moves towards the line. Pham in center, shallow, along with Grichuk as well.
I think Wacha, Dan, when he gets in the stretch, just observation watching him pitch this year, I think sometimes he tries to be so quick to the plate that the bottom part of his delivery gets out in front of his arm, and he misses high.
Pitch number 8 of this at bat to Kohler. It started out 0-2.
The fastballs have been up to Kohler, which, you know, he's the pitcher. You're not too worried about that, but you be worried about it with other guys at the plate.
And he struck him out. 2 in the inning, 4 in this ball game. Molina, Voit, Grichuk coming up. Any size drink, 50 cents the next day at On the Run. When the Redbird scores 6, keep the celebration going. Stop by On the Run tomorrow for a thirst-quenching win. You earned it. The Marlins, a franchise that is only 25 years old, and talk of another potential fire sale. What's interesting about what they have right now on their books, $488 million in future salary commitments. That's the highest commitment of any team in baseball. To put it in perspective, nearly double the total of the Yankees. So who could be out there to be had? Ozuna, Stanton, Yelich, Prado, Bour. I mean, at this point, you know, no one really knows because you don't have an ownership group that's in place yet, and they will be sold.
Well, it'll be a fluid thing based on offers too. If you can get a couple of prospects and you've got a guy that fits in perfectly with a need of another team that's got a playoff chance, then you may pull the trigger on somebody you normally wouldn't.
You see the number 16 in honor of Jose Fernandez, who's saying last year he couldn't wait for the All-Star game in Miami. He wanted to start the game. They would average nearly 5,000 to 7,000 more fans when he would make a start. And after next week, they will not have a crowd over 25,000 the rest of this season. Here's Yadier Molina. And a high fly ball lifted out to center field. Yelich under it. One pitch, one away. Now Ichiro, he plays it coy, in which he sometimes will say, yeah, my English is okay. I understand it very well. I don't speak it very well. And then I look over at first base and he's doing all the talking and Luke Voit is listening. Luke Voit has been
there's some wisdom in that.
Just thrilled to be here, and then he's standing next to one of the all-time greats in Ichiro.
King of that was Fernando Valenzuela. He had everybody fooled that he didn't speak English very well, and he was fluent.
Edgar Renteria comes to mind too.
Another one. Had an interesting conversation with Luke Voit about his favorite Cardinal players growing up, and Renteria came up. What era where the teams were, and the question was, certainly he's known Cardinal rosters for 20 years, but who's your team as a kid that those were the guys? And he mentioned Eckstein and Renteria and Roland, and of course Pujols.
We're getting old, Rick. Seems like yesterday those guys were here. Luke had his first major league home run in this homestand. He's driven in 4. Make it his second major league home run. A long one. Big Mac land. Wow. He crushes it into Big Mac land. His second home run of his big league career. Wow. It got out of here in a hurry.
I don't think Edgar Renteria ever hit one that far. A hanging breaking ball down in the middle of the plate and perfectly timed. And that's a no-doubter. Wow, way up in Big Mac land. I want to hear the distance on that one.
Usually if they go up that high, they're about as high as they are hit far. That one got out in a hurry. And there was a curtain call. It was Dexter Fowler who jumped out to the top step and tipped his cap to the fans. That was funny.
Did it by proxy.
It's nearly halfway up Big Mac land.
I love the guy that picked up the baseball thinking, I never thought I'd get a baseball up here.
Not a chance.
He had that look on his face, didn't he?
Sure did.
Just minding my own business up here, and boom. Voit hits me a baseball. Look at that. Go back to texting.
Grichuk pops it up on the infield, and Gordon makes the catch. Dee Gordon came a long way to make that catch right in front of first base. And that fan there that has his souvenir, boy, he's just calm and collected, isn't he? No big deal.
I think he's telling everybody he knows that he's got a baseball. Maybe you think he's selling it, putting it on eBay. Good for him.
Here's Greg Garcia. Jim Hayes had a nice visit with Greg on the pregame show.
Dee Gordon caught that pop up like a guy who's got an incentive in his contract for putouts.
Get out of my way, Justin Bour. I don't care that it's near the line. I've got it.
Probably a little embarrassing for Justin Bour, wouldn't you say?
Makes me think he can't catch a pop-up.
Maybe he's happy.
2-1 the count. Curveball taken high. And it's 3 balls and 1 strike on Garcia. Home run by Luke Voit. His second, 5th RBI to make it a 1-1 game. Second walk issued by Tom Kohler, so the Cardinals at least get Walker through the lineup.
You think anybody has even playfully suggested to Michael Walker that maybe he should try left-handed? I mean, just kidding around. Not that players would ever do that.
They never would do that, would they?
Lance Lynn, we saw him make the switch to trying to bat left-handed. Made contact. Thought the swing was okay. Both he and Michael Wacha have not exactly been in the same category as the other Cardinal starters, Martinez, Leake, Wainwright.
Comes in batting .043, no home runs. And he's driven in 1 this year. Runner at first is Greg Garcia. And it's 0-2. The Mets will be here tomorrow night. Our annual This One's For You telecast. And the 0-2 puts it in play. Slowly hit left side. And Prado retires. Michael Wacha. Luke Voit. Long home run. Hanging breaking ball, and he destroyed it. One of the longest of the year. 1-1 our score after 2.
Oh, that's right. $25, right? For a home run?
That's right. Phil Nichols is a roving cameraman. Where do we find him to? Wow.
Now, wait a minute.
I'm getting nervous.
How did Phil get up there?
Huh. Push in, Phil. Let's go a little bit closer to the field if you can.
Wait a minute. I don't want him leaning forward, though. Just push in with the camera.
That's right. He's harnessed in. What's the guy to your right doing, Phil?
So, what if he does a bungee jump from up there while filming? That's a shot I want to see.
I'm good. I don't want to see it. I don't. Makes me nervous.
Anybody could do it. Phil could do it.
Maybe Phil will find out the gentleman to his right what he's doing up there too.
Is he lost? Couldn't find his seat.
Hit by the pitch. Yeah, we'll put you over at the Budweiser Brew House and AT&T rooftop. But Rick, there are no tickets for up there.
Oh,
that's fireworks right there.
Now that looks complicated.
Mm-hmm. So D. Gordon is aboard. He stole his 30th bag back in the first inning.
Hit by the pitch. Does it hit him? Cutter in.
Barely got him. It's fouled back by JT Realmuto.
Of course, being hit, Dan, means it has to hit you, and you includes your uniform. Any part of clothing.
There's some that believe that Luke Voigt's grandma owes him $50 because it was such a bomb that he hit out to left. But only 25 for every home run. 446 feet.
Oh, I thought it was longer than that.
I did too.
And I also think you're trying to get a percentage of the extra money from grandma. That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe so. Slight percentage. Pretty big lead this time by Gordon. 1 ball and 1 strike. Talk about it a lot, but you have speed at first base and what it does to a pitcher in terms of maybe speeding up their delivery to the plate.
Yeah, well, we talked about that last inning. I think that's an issue for Wacha potentially. You want to be quick, but you better make sure you get your arm quick too. If your bottom half is quick and your arm is the same speed, you're going to be behind. Get the arm up quicker.
And a strikeout on a pitch that was up in the zone. Let's go pitch by pitch in the first at bat with Christian Yelich.
Well, we talk so much about the importance of throwing off timing and how important a changeup can be. Let's look at Yelich hitting the first inning. Gets the curveball first, that off-speed delivery, and then he gets back-to-back changeups out in front of that one. That one in the dirt, meant to get him behind the fastball up and away. It blew him away because of the off-speed pitches that preceded him.
There's the fastball, but one thing that Wacha's been doing here lately is, and I mentioned it earlier, the key in the driver's seat, but using the off-speed pitches a little bit more.
And he uses them more when he likes them. And that's part of the dilemma when Michael's not right, is he'll go away from his off-speed pitches, and it's almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, you have to use it to be good, and if it's not good, you don't want to use it. So I prefer him to just stay after it, especially with the changeup. The changeup can be such an important pitch for him. But you can tend to want to shy away from it if you get bad results the first couple of times you throw it.
Yelich at the plate. Gordon a runner at first, 1 out. And the 1-0 pitch, instead another check.
Think about some of the veteran pitchers we've seen over the years that maybe have a bad slider early in the game or a bad curveball, and then they find it. I know that that's happened with Kershaw with off-speed deliveries where he's just not quite right, and then by the 4th or 5th or 6th inning you can't hit it. So you just have to stick with it.
What do you think, Kershaw, if it ended today, Hall of Famer?
Boy, he's right on the edge if it ended today.
Here's a 1-0. Line past Voit and into right field. Gordon steps on the bag at second and trots into third. Runners at the corners for Marcell Ozuna.
Notice how quickly Jose Martinez got rid of the baseball once it got to him too. There's the line drive. Voit the attempt. And no chance to get Gordon, who's past second base, but that's Martinez getting it into the infield quickly. He's not going to get fooled again.
Ozuna made his first All-Star team last year, his second here in 2017. The Marlins had 3 outfielders hit 20 or more home runs a season ago. Terrific production from that trio. And a line drive base hit as he broke his bat into right. Run scores. That's D. Gordon. And Ozuna has driven in the 2 this afternoon for Miami.
Ozuna's making me think of Jerko the way he approaches his at-bats. He has the first pitch he sees that he likes and he does something with it. I mean, he does not, he's not thinking deep counts. He's just letting it go. Bat into 3 or 4 pieces. Thankfully not at anybody.
And the batter is Justin Bour.
That's the speed of Gordon at work again.
Well, for Bour, vote now or forever hold your peace. Voting will end at 3 o'clock Central Time here in St. Louis, in the middle of America, for that final All-Star of the National League roster. And Bour is one of 5 remaining. In many ways, it's a popularity contest, and you got to have a fan base interested in the game to get you in. I would say it'd be very tough for Justin Bour to make it.
I would agree.
Here's a 1-1 with runners at first and second. Bour hurt his ankle back on July 2nd of a year ago. At that time, 15 home runs in 68 games. He's got 19 at just about the same time this year and is driven in 55, and he's playing against lefties and righties.
The trio, Bour, Ozuna, Stanton, 65 home runs between the 3 of them.
High chopper towards second base. And the only play to flip over at first and Voit. Runners advance to second and third.
That's the best trio in baseball, which is why this club is dangerous.
They had any kind of starting pitching, which has been, not where it needs to be if they're going to contend in the East. This lineup certainly could with anybody in baseball, but the pitching, starters in particular, have had their issues. Here's Martin Prado with Ichiro on deck. Last season, Prado hit .368 with runners in scoring position. That led the major leagues. You just wonder if they would even pitch around him, load him up, and take your chances with Ichiro.
Boy,
be dangerous, but
I'd rather stay righty and righty here. And although with Prado at the plate, the professional at bats you normally get from him, this is the kind of situation you hate to see him up, don't you? Chance to drive in a couple of runs.
1 ball, 1 strike. Last year led all National League third basemen in average hits, also struck out the fewest times. Very good player. And the 1-1. Make it 1-2.
Walker's throwing hard. Stuff is there. The hit by pitch of Gordon led to the run here in this inning.
And the 1-2 outside. Overall, the velocity with the fastball of Michael Wacha is up a tick or 2 here in 2017.
It results in lower contact percentage. When the velocity's up, more swings and misses. You'd like one of those right now. So we saw the changeup set up the fastball that he blew by Yelich. Changeup in the dirt to Prado. Let's see if he can adjust with his timing if he gets a fastball in the outer half, which I expect he'll see here.
And the 3-2 pitch. He got him. Little cut fastball in the outer half. 6 strikeouts. Phil Nichols, please be careful. Please. Jim Hayes is in Big Mac land. The reason why: this long home run hit by Luke Voit, a souvenir halfway up Big Mac land. Jimmy, who you with?
This is Mason from Pinckneyville, Illinois. And Mason, you said you had just sat down. You come to Big Mac land, you're probably not expecting to grab a home run ball, are you?
No, I just came up here to get out of the high seats. I know this isn't very low, but it's a lot better than where I was sitting at, especially since I caught this.
And what are your plans for the baseball?
Probably go home and put it up. This is my first ball I've ever gotten out of Major League game, so it's pretty special to me.
Can I take a look at it?
Yeah, you can.
It's very now. Here's the thing, though. Mason, while he watches a lot of Cardinals baseball, is actually a Nationals fan, a Bryce Harper fan. So, Mason, my question is, couldn't I just give it to this young Cardinal fan here, and it will have a better home?
No, if I give it to a Cardinal fan, it's going to go to my nephews.
So you have good plans for it. What about Luke's Grandma Joan? She might like it, too. It's his second career home run ball. I'm trying to pry it away from you because you're a Nationals fan.
I probably won't give it up to anyone besides my nephews if I even do give it up, so sorry.
I appreciate it. And we're only playing around anyway. Pretty nice day at the ballpark, right? You get a home run ball up in Big Mac land.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent day if I say so myself.
He says so himself, Dan. A pretty decent day at the ballpark.
Now, Jimmy, what if we get him a Luke Voit signed ball to give that ball back to Luke, and maybe he gives it to Grandma?
See, I think he wants to give it to his nephews, but Dan McLaughlin's trying to orchestrate a deal here because Grandma Joan is Luke's grandmother, and she watches every Cardinals game along at the senior community where she lives. She pays him $25 for each home run. So Dan said, what if we got you an autograph Luke Voit ball in exchange for that? We'll also maybe throw in autograph glossy of Ricky Horton. Would that do it for you?
Probably not.
We have no deal.
No deal.
You're a good sport. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
You know, Dan, I thought the Horton glossy would put it over the top.
No doubt. Good work, Jimmy.
I think you had him sold on the ball, but then when you added the photo, he said no. I think that's how that works.
I love the live interviews with Jim. I think they're hilarious.
Priceless. I appreciate his conviction.
Maybe what we should do is just get the glossy to him anyway for being a good sport.
I think we should.
Do you have one?
I certainly do. Think Jim could deliver that?
No doubt. Usually when you leave, we go through your bag and I've got a set of darts and we throw it at it.
Actually, he's in my car. You think I can get Jim to go to the car?
That was great. 2 balls and 1 strike here on Tommy Pham after the walk to Carpenter. So you got put on the spot. Jimmy did that to my 8-year-old Barrett when he went to him and said, "Who's your favorite announcer?" And I thought, oh no, here we go. This could really turn not in my favor.
But he said,
"Dear old dad."
Yeah. He's got college ahead of him. Somebody's got to pay for it. He's not stupid.
The 2-2 on the outside corner. Pham didn't like that. That outside corner being pounded by Kohler on the right-handed batters. This ball not even close, according to Missouri Lottery Fox Tracks.
That corner's been open for business and then some.
Yeah.
Well, you and I have been talking about this the past couple of days. I believe that there was a time in baseball where everybody knew that was a strike and you didn't even think about it. You'd get the corner plus. But now with our ability technologically to see what the actual 17-inch strike zone is, it's gotten a little smaller.
You have made it your personal mission to go back and find old video and put K-zone up. The Kubota power stats. Marlins since 2007, most strikeouts per 9. Kohler near 7. But it really would give you an idea about the expansion of a strike zone back in the 70s and 80s and well before that, and how technology really has changed the game.
And if you can go back to the 50s, your Red Schoendienst would tell you that the strike zone was, if you could reach it, it was a strike.
Yeah.
That's his line. And that may be an exaggeration, but if Red says it, I believe it.
I'm with you. Martinez, a base hit into right field. Carpenter stopping at second base.
Front leg for timing purposes, a little out in front, but the bat was still back, the hands back enough to drive that ball into right field. That's a perfect example on that swing that a hitter will be able to tell you that there's times where you overcommit with your front side and you're going forward, but if your hands are back, you could still do something with it.
Nice play made by a fan to our right, barehanded, barely even moved, and a couple of fist bumps for his buddies. No big deal for him either. Last pitch, one that was very hittable for Jerko. There's been some of those types of pitches from Kohler in this game.
There have.
Jerko into right. That'll sink and drop, and the bases will be loaded as Ichiro hits the cut.
Matt Carpenter had to hold up because he was not sure from his vantage point leading off at second base whether that ball was going to carry to the right fielder Ichiro or not. So it really forced the Cardinals to be station to station. The line drive, he has to make the quick judgment, not sure, sees it, it's down, but by that time it's too late to be able to score. And you do respect the arm of Ichiro. The arm may be old, but it's still strong.
See him do that time and again. We watch Miami play a lot in spring training. He'll get a lot of action in those games, and he's always stretching. He's been on the DL, I believe, one time in his career. Here's Yadier Molina. Bases loaded. He flied to center first time up. 2-1 our score.
Good chance to get that run back. Marlins want a double play in the infield. They shade Yadi towards right field with their 3 outfielders.
And that's lined to third. Hits into some tough luck. 2 outs. Luke Voigt will be the batter with the bases loaded.
Prado's head's on a swivel after he catches this line drive. Where can I get another one? Second, third, first? Nope. Right to it. Looked everywhere. Dropped the ball in the process, but had it long enough.
You know, Ozuna, who's in left field, threw the glove at the ball last night. You've talked about the pine tar situation with that. And it does give you a good idea of some of the funky rules in the game of baseball.
My. Well, we have a rule book with us, and I was unfamiliar with the fact that and so was Mike Matheny in his post-game press conference about the fact that when you throw a glove, it actually has to hit the ball to be the triple. And this is not something that happens very often, but you look at the rule book, Dan, it's a lot of pages.
Ooh, nice play by Real Muto. And the split screen there a moment ago of the fan that is ready for his second souvenir. The first one thanks to Luke Voigt.
258 pages in the rule book.
You better know them all. Here's a 1-0. Voigt with a fly ball out to right, backing up Ichiro over his head and off the wall. Voigt to second. He drives in 2. He's driven them all in today, and it's 3-2 St. Louis.
Well, he went to left field with the home run, and he takes this pitch the other way. This is a slider. Gets it on the good part of the bat. Ichiro can't catch up to it. And the Cardinals would have a 4-2 lead if Jed Jerko didn't have a groin injury that he's nursing. Very slow running from first to third. Wisely, Cardinals want his bat in the lineup, but he's not able to score from first base.
Jed was actually saying before the game it's an injury that he had his rookie season in San Diego that was bothersome the entire year, so wants to be very cautious, careful with it. And now Randal Grichuk. Strike 1. Luke Voigt now is driven in 7 in the month of July. It's tied with Tommy Pham for the team lead. 0-1 pitch. 0-2.
We looked at minor league players in spring training, and the question would be, what guys do you expect that you've seen in the minor leagues that will come up and make a difference by the All-Star break? We get asked that question a lot, Dan, in spring training, and Harrison Bader's a name we would have said. Paul DeJong, a name we would have said. Luke Voigt was not on that list for me.
Strikeout of Randal Grichuk. 2 in the inning, 4 in the game. Luke Voigt is driven in 2. The base is loaded. And a 2-out double the opposite way. 3-2 Cardinals. By your St. Louis area Volkswagen dealers and by Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less. I used to love doing that as a kid. Guess it stopped doing that about 6 months ago. Run around the backyard. You got to do it. Summertime. Got to have some fun. And that's what the Cardinals are doing here at Busch Stadium. It's a 3-2 lead for St. Louis. Luke Voigt has driven in all three. Ichiro puts it in play. Ground ball that's hit to second. And that's the first out. Ichiro 1 for 2. Brings in JT Riddle, so 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup for Walker to deal with here at the top of the fourth. And there's a ball a little bit low.
.64 pitches for Wacha as he works in the fourth inning. You start looking ahead to who's available in the Cardinals bullpen. We got very good work out of the bullpen yesterday. A short start for Mike Leake, but Brebbia was good. Weaver went 2 solid innings. Bowman, Cecil also pitched well. You've got arrested Trevor Rosenthal, and you've got other innings out there besides that. But the Cardinals had a good showing with their bullpen. Gave them a chance to win. They kept coming back, but just too big a hill to climb.
And a swing and a miss. And a strikeout of JT Riddle. 7 strikeouts already. This Saturday, July 8th, is your chance to complete the Final Out bobblehead series. That day, 30,000 fans 16 and older receive a Tim McCarver bobblehead commemorating the Final Out of the 1967 World Series, courtesy of AT&T. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. Here's Tom Kohler. 3-2 our score. Wasn't that long ago, Rick, that there were rumblings about Michael Wacha staying in the rotation. I think he has responded.
Well, I frankly think the rumblings were warranted at the time. He had a number of games in a row where he just wasn't quite right, and certainly you love him, you trust him, but the time was there for him to get better, and he has gotten better.
8 strikeouts. Annual This One's For You broadcast. Fox Sports Midwest presents This One's For You. Honoring our armed forces, this year we highlight soldiers from the 1st Battalion, 138th Infantry Regiment of the Missouri National Guard. This one's for you tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest. Greg Garcia, Michael Wacha, Matt Carpenter for the Cardinals. Day baseball here from Busch Stadium. Glad you're with us. Luke Voigt is driven in all 3 for the Cardinals. Tomorrow night is always an emotional night.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what. Did he take my hat? Get that kid in here. You literally could not look at me when I was wearing that cap, or that cowboy hat, I should say.
Literally.
Yeah, you had to turn away. It's not like it's something new, but
I was going to ask for a partition.
Here's Greg Garcia. Pops one foul and out of play.
You're talking about the emotional night of the This One's For You broadcast. It's just always been a highlight year after year, and always a moment that you don't expect, and just really a privilege to do it.
Raw emotion of those that are in the seats. There'll be a section of the family and friends of those that have been deployed. The moms, the dads, grandma, grandpa, friends, sons and daughters. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And that's hit up the middle. Riddle to his left. Well, you talked about it, how he goes to his left on those balls behind second base.
Really good range, really good footwork, and gets himself in position to throw quickly too. It isn't just getting to the baseball, it's being in a position to throw once you get there. And it's just a little harmless ground ball, but he moves quickly. You can see the jump was fast, and then the feet keep moving, and he's able to make a strong, firm throw to first. You stop the feet, you're in trouble.
We're talking about Don Mattingly earlier. Michael Wacha at the plate. The Marlins not only paying many of their players long term, as we mentioned, the commitments financially nearly $500 million on the books, but they're still paying 3 different managers as well. Mike Redmond, Dan Jennings, who was the GM, then went in uniform, and now Don Mattingly. Don from Evansville, Indiana, Cardinal country.
I had the privilege of playing against him in the minor leagues. He was a Yankee on the same team with Rex Hudler. And the Yankees were always stacked at the lower levels because the team was, well, a high-priced team at the big league level, and they liked veterans, and they kept their prospects in AAA for a long time, and it just was a good organization from top to bottom. But he stood out. He was much better than everybody else that we saw in that league in 1980 as a young hitter with a sweet swing.
The strikeout of Wacha. So Kohler has struck out 5.
One of my favorite stories is we were playing Greensboro, the Cardinal A-ball affiliate in Gastonia, North Carolina. He was in Greensboro. We were playing him in the playoffs, and we had 4,000 people come out to a playoff game because our general manager was giving away a TV, and if you bought a ticket, there was going to be a raffle for a TV, and it was a nice, state-of-the-art, best TV you could find. And at 4,000 people, we would normally get 400, and they raffled it off in the 5th inning of a 1-0 game in the playoffs, and then everybody left. It was so disheartening. But Don Mattingly was there. The hit by pitch, catches the left toe.
So they weren't there to see Donnie Baseball, Rick Horton, or the stars of tomorrow.
Or
they were
Rex
there
Hudler,
to
right? Apparently not.
So Carpenter on base for the 3rd time. 2 walks and a hit by pitch.
Moral of that story is raffle the TV at the end of the night.
Right. I mean, you get 4,000 people to go to a minor league game. That's a lot of concessions.
Of course. We all thought we were important there for a while.
Right. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Tommy Pham. He was robbed by D. Gordon first time up, but a diving stop to Gordon's left and then struck out looking back in the third. Milwaukee has jumped out to a 4-0 lead over Chicago. That's in the top of the third. Pittsburgh and Philly later tonight, along with Cincinnati and Colorado. The 2-1. Curveball drops in for a strike. Gotta wonder with the eyesight of Tommy Pham if day games and slow starts in spring training and a tough left field are part of those slow starts. The 2-2 down the right field line and foul. You think about it, game 1 on base 5 times, game 2 a day game, strikes out 4 times. Night game last night, comes back 2 doubles, and back in the lineup today, day game. Here's a 2-2 and a strikeout of Pham. 2 in the inning, 6 today for Tom Kohler. We head to the 5th, and it's 3-2. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. And the top of the lineup, D. Gordon. We go back to his last start and couple that with today. Michael Wacha with 17 strikeouts in his last 10 innings. 8 here through 4 innings. As Gordon pops it foul. D singled. Stole his 30th bag back in the first and scored the first run of this game. Hit by a pitch in the third. Scored the second run for Miami.
He really is what you would say in this game is a classic leadoff hitter. Get on base, make something happen, do it with your speed.
And the 1-2 is hit out of play.
Would you say there's 10 of those in the game right now? And that's not a bad thing or a good thing. It just is what it is. You don't have the classic base stealer, but you see what first to third can do for you.
Little chopper to Luke Voit. Walker to the bag for the out. Realmuto will be the batter with one down.
I like what Voit is doing right here. He's going over to the mound and he's going to make sure that the pitcher catches his breath. I noticed they were walking together and Michael was breathing heavy. When you run to cover first base, it's not like it's a hard thing to do, but you've already pitched for 4 innings, thrown 73 pitches, and you can get gassed a little quicker. And that was smart for Voit to give Michael that extra second.
And a ground ball that's hit to short. 2 down. Batter will be Christian Yelich. Yelich a year ago with 21 home runs when he hadn't hit more than 9. He's a former first-round pick in 2010. When the Marlins first drafted him, they thought he would eventually hit for power. And last year he finally showed it with those 21 long balls. They've done different things with Giancarlo Stanton in their lineup. And last year it was Yelich hitting in front of Stanton. So you're going to be pitched a little bit differently.
Right. Well, not bad to be hitting in front of Ozuna either.
No, sir. Well, you're sandwiched between Stanton most nights and Ozuna. You're going to get some pitches to hit.
Stanton and Ozuna each with 23 home runs. Club record for home runs prior to the All-Star break. Only one Marlin has hit more than the 23, and they both had 23. That was Mike Lowell, who had 28 one season. So that's a very good 1-2 punch.
And the 3-1 is a fly ball out to left. Grichuk can't get there. Over his head and off the wall. Yelich trotting into second base with a 2-out double. His second hit of the afternoon.
Good power the other way. No chance for Grichuk.
Ozuna is driven in 2. He's now up to 66 on their club. He's batting .354 with runners in scoring position. 2 singles, 2 RBIs today.
And he's gone up there hacking.
Last year a total of 23 home runs, and as Rick mentioned already, 23 in the first half of this season. Little tapper that rolls foul. While the season is heating up, you can cool down with new frozen beverages at McDonald's. 3 flavors: Coke, Wild Cherry, and Blue Raspberry. Stay cool this summer with frozen drinks at McDonald's. Just joined us, that young man there with a souvenir thanks to Luke Voit in Big Mac Land.
I think maybe if I gave him 2 photos?
2 photos would probably do it. Have you thought of the inscription?
Yes.
Leave that off the air.
What if I added a Nolan Ryan autographed baseball? I'm not going to do it. I'm just asking. You think that would make a difference to him?
To him, I don't know. To me, yes.
Huh. got to mark it.
That's all you need.
Just testing the waters.
Although it is his first souvenir at a major league game, so
priceless.
Sentimental value. And then for the rest of his life, he can talk about the 5 minutes he spent with the cat. That truly is priceless.
Absolutely.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Ozuna.
I like the way Waka and Yadier Molina started this at bat against Ozuna. They threw him a little cutter off the plate, and he has been aggressive. We noticed it. First ball hitting, he's doing that a lot. Well, throw a pitch that looks like a strike and throw it off the plate, and maybe you can get an out with one pitch. It almost happened. He just didn't put the ball in play, but he hit it off the end of the bat. It was a foul ball, but very nearly one pitch, one out. And that's an example of a team using a hitter's aggressiveness against him.
Little bit high.
You saw that with Yadi's target there. He wanted, his target was off the plate. I wouldn't be surprised if 3-2 he gives a target off the plate.
Struck him out. Ozuna didn't like it at all. 9 strikeouts to match his season high. And a pretty good breaking ball here from Michael Waka. Monday night, and we also have the All-Star game. But the bracket challenge is there. A chance to win 4 World Series tickets. All you have to do is head to MLB.com/bracket challenge. Justin Bour will be in the home run derby, and his teammate Giancarlo Stanton. So 9 strikeouts through 5 for Michael Waka. And the batter will be Jose Martinez, followed by Jed Jerko and Yadier Molina. If you just joined us, Luke Voit with a solo home run into Big Mac land. And also a bases loaded double that scored 2 with 2 outs back in the 3rd. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. A base hit to right, run scored by Martinez in the 3rd inning. 2-1.
Kohler's given up 3 runs, but just the 4 hits, and I think he's been sharper than he's been of late, at least for the Marlins.
Grounder hit to short, tricky hop there at the end, and Riddle stayed with it and made the play.
Shaking his head, but I agree with you. I think that was a tricky hop that he made look easy. I don't want to say easy, but the ball crowds him a little bit. It actually stayed down, so he had to keep the glove down lower than he thought. He's starting to come up, and then the ball just stays down. It skips almost a bit, and it threw him off his rhythm, but he regained control and got his man.
Here's Jed Jerko with 1 out. Good example, though, of a major league player starting the glove low.
Oh, exactly.
And then coming up, and also the alligator that we talk about.
Yeah, if you start high and try to go low, it doesn't work. You've got to start with the glove low and then pull it up in towards you. You're always gathering is a word that infield instructors like to use. You're gathering towards you, and the alligator you're talking about is the throwing hand and the glove coming together, and it looks a little bit like an alligator. It's what we call it anyway, especially at young ages. That's how you teach infield play.
One ball and 2 strikes on Jed Jerko. The Cardinals will welcome the New York Mets to town tomorrow. Good matchup in Game 1 tomorrow night. Carlos Martinez and Jacob deGrom. A swing and a miss. So Kohler struck out 7.
Getting better. Take a look at that last delivery. Had good movement to it. Riding fastball. Kohler pitched at Stony Brook College in New York, or Stony Brook University now, where he pitched 4 years. It's a state college in New York. I'm familiar with it, and
as am I.
In 17 and 19 in his years pitching at Stony Brook with an ERA of nearly 5. So you're not playing Arizona State,
the SEC,
Vanderbilt, TCU, Virginia, some of the really top baseball schools. You're playing in the Northeast, and his ERA is close to 5, and some scouts said, I think this guy can be a big leaguer. How about that?
I did a basketball game at Stony Brook for the NIT. Bruce Weber at the time was the head coach at Illinois, and it took me about 2 hours to try to find the institution when I was around it within 2 blocks. That was my favorite time at Stony Brook.
Well, if you're in New York, there's a lot of things going on in 2 blocks. They have another player in the big leagues. I believe he's still there, Travis Jankowski.
Outfielder with the Padres. That'll be out of play.
I believe he had his first major league hit against the Cardinals.
Well, Stony Brook, too, if memory serves correct, was not even a Division I team or university in their sports until the maybe 2008, 2010 range. So Kohler may have been pitching in a lower level, too, of the NCAA ranks.
I'm sure he was happy to be a Seawolf, though.
It's fun to play the game, isn't it?
It is. Well, it shows that scouts have an interesting task to go find players everywhere, even at Stony Brook.
And the 0-2 pitch. Molina, soft ground ball to second base, and we played 5. The Cardinals lead the Marlins by the score of 3-2.
Afternoon for Michael Wacha, following up a nice start on his birthday. What has Wacha done today? A ton of strikeouts. He's done it in a variety of ways with the off-speed delivery, the fastball, and the Marlins getting a lot of bad swings against the Cardinal right-hander, who has 9 strikeouts through 5, and he's done it with the fastball, change, cutter, and curve here this afternoon.
Justin Bour, Martin Prado, and Ichiro coming up. 3-2 our score here in the 6th inning. Very warm afternoon here in St. Louis.
Maybe Wacha's last inning.
Pitch count at 86. Cardinals very cautious with that pitch count. All the way from the first day of spring training to side sessions to what he does in regular season play. There's Bour. Hits a fair ball.
Wow.
Nice play by Luke Voigt.
Bour doesn't believe it was a fair ball. He's looking for some help with the home plate umpire, who's not going to give it to him. That was called fair by Quinn Walcott. And what a play by Voigt, who's doing the same thing, giving Wacha some time since he ran over to first base, making sure he doesn't get winded. That's the former catcher in Voigt, but now a first baseman. Nice play.
He told me the other day that when he was drafted, he was a very stocky, big kid at Missouri State. And he said he's been trying to drop weight, but not lose too much. He just wants to redistribute that so that he has better range at first base. And we've seen him play limited amount of time, but so far so good.
That was the best we've seen him right there. And it was a fair ball.
A breaking ball lifted in the air to shallow right. And Prado is 0 for 3. Well, tomorrow 30,000 fans 16 and older can beat the heat in style with the help of a one-of-a-kind Cardinals performance t-shirt courtesy of Apple Vacations. And get your tickets for tomorrow, July 7th at cardinals.com/promotions.
And what's developing into first men up in the Cardinals bullpen from the left and right side, Tyler Lyons and Matt Bowman. They're backing up Michael Wacha just in case. And we had some good news today about the Cardinal left-hander Zach Duke.
He is being promoted to AAA. He's had 3 scoreless outings in the minor leagues. A little bit low, 2 balls and no strikes. Ichiro spraying the ball all over the place, still can pull it. As you see there, 25.6% of the time.
But those are some pretty equal percentages when you think about the whole scheme of things. That's a guy that you just can't play one way or pitch one way.
And hearing about Zach Duke, it makes me think of your buddy Ken Daly, how he came back.
Ken Daly, one of the early Tommy John replacement surgeries, and I wouldn't say the earliest, but he was on record at least the first 10 years of doing them as the most miraculous comeback, the quickest comeback. And he started, the secret for him is he started doing a lot of exercises before he was supposed to, and you know, just couldn't stand not doing some exercises, and I think it just helped delay some of the atrophy in his arm and kept it strong, and he was back pitching much quicker than others had before him, and many since. And he came back throwing harder too. Made me want to have it.
That happens at times though with these players. They come back, they do throw harder. There also could be that dead stage in a season, first year back. For those that do have Tommy John, they feel so good when they come back. They're throwing harder. The pain isn't what it once was. And a 2-out walk to Ichiro.
Pioneered by the late Dr. Job, Frank Job. Wonderful man. And was working out in LA, and he actually did a surgery on me, Dr. Job did, and not that surgery, but after hearing about the other pitchers and their recovery and their extra velocity, I wanted to ask him, are you sure? Can you just give me? I think the point is Couldn't really help you. You're good.
Here's JT Riddle. I think our younger fans, they hear about Tommy John surgery and don't realize there was a Tommy John that nearly won 300 games in the major leagues. The Cardinals had Brett Strom, who worked in the organization for a number of years now with Houston. It almost was Brett Strom surgery, as he had it right after Tommy John. But so many players now have had it.
Walker's starting to miss badly here, and that's going to catch the attention of the Cardinals pitching coach Derek Lilliquist. It's already caught the attention of Yadier Molina. Going to want him to regroup a little bit. 2-0 on Riddle. And you think about pinch hitting opportunities and possibilities for Miami. There's one guy that's, well, he's kind of scary on their bench.
That'd be Mr. Stanton. Ellis, Stanton, Moore, and Dietrich on their bench. One lefty, 3 right-handed batters.
So this is the guy you want. You know, when you've got firepower on your bench, Dan, honestly, something we don't talk about. You like pitchers leading off innings? Well, in this case, you'd want pinch hitters to lead off the inning, too. You'd rather have Stanton or Dietrich hit with nobody on to lead off an inning. When they've got firepower on their bench, got to get Riddle.
And no throw, and a stolen base for Ichiro. Check that. It was ball 4, so it is a walk. And you wonder if the Cardinals, what they're going to do here with Stanton coming up. And
well, you wouldn't use Stanton otherwise.
Don Mattingly rolls the dice here.
And why not? It's an opportunity. This is a tough decision right here. Walker's been so good. He has 9 strikeouts, but back-to-back walks. Bit of a toss-up as far as I'm concerned, but I think I can tell you which way the coin landed. It landed on Matt Bowman.
So we got the first 2 near the top of the 6th. The walk to Ichiro, walk to Riddle. And now Stanton will face Matt Bowman coming out of the pen.
Giancarlo Stanton pinch hitting against Matt Bowman, and this is where the research comes in handy. The hot zones are in red. That's where he wants the baseball. He'll do damage if you throw it middle of the plate or middle away. Adam Wainwright able to get him on a pitch down and away. That's the blue zone. more of a cold zone, including that pitch down and in. And that is what all the video is all about, and the technology in the game, staying away from the hot zone of a hitter. And Stanton certainly knows what to do with it if you get it in that red area.
Matt Bowman, the Hyundai pitch arsenal. Stanton with 2 home runs yesterday in Game 3 before the Cardinals' 7th batter even came to the plate.
Feels like this is the game, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And the first pitch to him. So both starters now out. Michael Wacha 5 2/3. Kohler goes 5 innings. He's 0 for 3 against Matt Bowman. Good sinking action. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's the cold zone, down and away. The changeup. Well placed.
The shift on, so Ichiro not much of a lead at second base.
Bowman knows where he wants to go with Stanton. The other factor when you start thinking about hot and cold zones is, what are your hot and cold zones as a pitcher?
The 2-1. And a ground ball that's hit to third. Jerko steps on the bag. Bowman gets Giancarlo Stanton. Wacha a chance at a win. The starter's reaction. 3-2 St. Louis. Biggest stars take the field for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, July 11th, and it's only on Fox. Nick Wittgren is the new pitcher in for Miami. Our Chevy called to the pen. He'll get Luke Voigt, Randall Grichuk, Greg Garcia. Both starters knocked out. 31st appearance for this right-hander. Home run by Voigt back in the second into Big Mac land, and then an RBI double that scored 2 in the third. It's the young man that received that baseball.
I think he's thinking about the trade, by the way. He's reconsidering. I think Jim needs to go back up there.
So it's a Luke Voigt signed baseball and a Rick Horton glossy. What a deal.
Maybe Luke will just hit him another one so he can give up one of the 2.
Here's a 1-0. The check swing and a foul ball. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Still not sure about that 446 feet, are you?
I thought it was further than that. That still had a ways to go. Opponent's hitting just .208 against Whitgren. Broken bat on a grounder that's hit to third. The long throw, and Voit is retired. State Farm perfect pair. This was against Pittsburgh on a Sunday night. Randall Grichuk had just been recalled. And then today, hanging breaking ball, and Luke Newitt. Here's Grichuk, 0 for 2. Popped out to second and struck out.
One of the many things in baseball, Dan. I'm not sure that we can do justice on TV just how far that is to hit a baseball. If you stand at home plate on the field, that is a long, long way away.
You don't see it very often, certainly in regular season games or postseason games, but live action, occasionally you'll see it in batting practice when guys are trying to launch it. Here's a 1-1. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Grichuk still working to figure out that swing that he rediscovered. And Jim Hayes talking to him before the game, his report was at least he isn't chasing as much as he did when he was struggling, and at least mentally he's in a good place right now. He just has to get the timing back again.
The 2-2 pitch. Grichuk timed that one out to deep left. Goodbye. Line drive and a shot into the Marlins bullpen.
Exactly what Grichuk brings you. The chance to do that, ruin a Jimmy John sign, and hit a baseball hard. And he can have a bad day and then do that and affect the game.
Grichuk's 8th of the year, 29th RBI, and the 1-0. Now a 4-2 St. Louis lead. Boy, that got out in a hurry too. 108 miles per hour off the bat. The 2-0 pitch. Ray Garcia has walked and grounded out to short. Two and 2. Whitgren made his debut in the big leagues a season ago with Miami. Right-handers had been hitting just .225 against him this year.
Pitched collegiately at Purdue. Also played junior college in Champaign, Illinois. So again, scouts find you everywhere. Even go to Hawaii. Now that's the gig I want.
You want to be the Cardinals scout in Hawaii
for about 10 or 15 years. Yeah, that'd be good.
Can handle that. The 2-2 is swung on and missed by Garcia. Go back to 1974 and think about the pinch hitters that the Cardinals have had over the years. There's been some good ones, but collectively this team right now, 353 the average. Only the 94 Twins, the 79 Brewers have been better. That's a look at your Academy Sports and Outdoor leaderboard. It'll be pulled to Young. Takes a ball low.
We had a number yesterday that the league average is in the 240s. And that is good. You get on base at 1 out of every 4 times as a pinch hitter. That's a tough assignment. You're facing closers often in matchup situations. 240's good. 340's terrific.
And that's minus one of their best pinch hitters from a year ago in Matt Adams. The 2-0. Once again, a nice job by Paul and Rick right before our first pitch, talking about the pine tar on a bat, why you have it, where you put it.
Well, the bat better not come out of his hands after having done that for us, but he was talking about how he likes to put it up the bat and then grab just a little bit. He doesn't really want it caked on the handle.
3-1 is driven out to left center field. Extra bases for DeYoung. And the pinch hitters just keep on rolling here in St. Louis.
Well, pinch hitting is a lot about being ready. And he was ready for that fastball, but it's understanding what situation you might be used in and not being surprised by it, not being overwhelmed by it, not being mentally unfocused. I mean, you've got to be ready for that situation.
There's a young man that caught the ball that was hit by Voit. Gives you an idea the distance from his spot in the stadium to home plate. A long ways away.
Oh my. Probably feeling a little bit like a celebrity right now, but he's got a grip on that baseball. Do not take my baseball.
Yeah, that thing's going nowhere.
No way.
And I give the cat credit. I mean, he tried his best to pry that baseball away. No, sir. So with Carpenter coming up,
you can't text and drive, but you can text and hold the baseball.
And sports fans, there's a good look at the back of his head. Two outs, runner at second base. Carpenter the batter. Strike one.
Conversation on the mound, I'm sure, had a lot to do with how they're going to pitch Matt Carpenter with Pham on deck, who's struck out a couple of times in this game. You got the righty lefty here, then you got the righty righty with Pham. Do you pitch to him, or are you careful with Matt Carpenter?
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Instead of check on DeYoung, Wickren is in relief of Tom Kohler. Tied his season high in strikeouts with 7 here today. Did that back on the 23rd of April against San Diego. And Carpenter lines it into the glove of Justin Bohr. Rando Grichuk with 2 strikes and a line drive that turns out to be a home run and a dent the Jimmy John side. Over to the lefty, Tyler Lyons.
Part of the order where he'll see left, right, left.
What's in the tank? The presentation of Phillips 66.
Lyons a very good curveball, and he is working on 1 day's rest. He had 16 pitches in that game. The curveball was good in that game, but the key for him is to not make mistakes with it. We talked about it in that last outing with Tyler. He can be nasty with it, but do not hang that breaking ball. Again, he'll face the lefty, D. Gordon, who's been a thorn in this series.
Here we are in the top of the 7th, 4-2 our score. Gordon singled, stole his 30th bag, scored back in the first, hit by a pitch in the third, scored a run and grounded out. 1 ball and 1 strike. Outfield very shallow. Slapped the other way and a base hit. Pretty good series put together by D. Gordon. And the tying run will come to the plate in Real Muto. Don Mattingly has already used Stanton off his bench. Still has Ellis, the catcher, Tyler Moore, and Derek Dietrich.
It's a good example, Dan, on how little time you really need to get a reliever ready. Tyler Lyons will not pitch to Ozuna. And he's got a runner aboard, and he's got Real Muto and Yelich, but that's time to get a right-hander ready to face Ozuna. If you're 3 batters down the road, that's enough time to get ready. You should only need 10 to 12 pitches to get loose as a reliever. You don't have to panic and have guys start throwing too soon. Interesting that it's a left-handed pitcher getting loose.
It may tell you, though, the stock is on the rise and moving rapidly for Brett Cecil, who's getting loose in the pen. Remember the idea when the Cardinals signed him, not just lefties and righties.
That's right.
You know, he could do both. Real Muto is bunting, and it's foul.
Tells me that maybe Brevia is not available today also. It's just a third of an inning yesterday.
Cardinals haven't had a save opportunity since July 1st. Something to think about as well if you get there. Good jump by Gordon. No chance for Molina. The stolen base, second today, number 31.
Went on first movement. Felt like he read the delivery of Lyons and knew he was going home on first movement. And that's the art of base stealing. That's not the speed of it. That's the art of it. Understanding the pitcher, reading the pitcher, getting the jump.
Here's the 0-2. And that's whacked down the third base line, but foul. Not by much.
Game of centimeters. Brian O'Nora right on it. Oh, that was way foul. Oh. Good 6 to 8 feet. Why are you looking at me like that?
Inside, 1-2. Milwaukee now with a 9-2 lead in the bottom of the 4th over Chicago. And the Brewers started play today, 3.5 in front of the Cubs, 5.5 in front of St. Louis. The 1-2. On the air tomorrow, 6:30. This one's for you. The telecast dedicated to the troops. Jacob deGrom and Carlos Martinez in game 1. Breaking ball, that's hammered foul.
Tyler's not fooling him. But you only have to fool him once with a 1-2 count.
Here's a 1-2. In the dirt, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Mike Matheny has already used one of his key guys in the bullpen, Matt Bowman. And what a situation that was. 2 runners aboard with Giancarlo Stanton at the plate. That was in the 6th inning, but then you've used Bowman. You'd like to have him again, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Slowly to first, Voit to Lyons, and safe. Runners at the corners and nobody out.
Realmuto runs well. We've talked about it. And he gets out of the box quickly, too. The minute he hits it, he's moving. Tyler's moving as fast as he can, and the footwork just the wrong foot. Coming down the left foot, then the right foot. Would have been better had he been just 1 step quicker.
Like Luke had a little issue getting that out of his glove. And so runners at first and third, nobody out. Here come the Marlins.
Best thing you can do as a first baseman is give it to the pitcher as soon as you can, so he can stop worrying about trying to catch the ball and hit the base at the same time. If he would have caught the ball earlier, he could have maybe gotten the footwork better or even tagged the runner, because he's running right next to him.
A trend for this year's Cardinals team. They nearly have to play flawless baseball defensively to stay or win games. And that could have been the first out in this inning. We'll see if it comes back to haunt them. Yelich with a base hit to right, double to left, and has also struck out. 2 for 3. And batting .246 with runners in scoring position. Outfield is fairly shallow,
boy,
for a third place hitter.
They are.
The 2-1 out of play, 2-2. Ozuna on deck. Cecil is hot. He's ready. Breaking ball, and he struck him out. Cardinals today have struck out 10 Marlins.
Should be 2 outs in the inning now, but that's a big out and not a very good pitch from Tyler Lyons. A hanger. Yelich swings through it. And Ozuna, who's had 1 at bat in his career against Brett Cecil, and he hit a home run.
Chevy called to the pen. Ozuna against Cecil when we come back. Autograph nights is tomorrow. 2 current players will sign autographs for fans 15 and under. That's at the Ford Plaza from 5:45 to 6:15. 2 former Cardinals will sign for fans of all ages from 6:15 to 7. Visit cardinals.com/promotions. Ozuna, the ball game today. 2 RBI singles, the first and the third, struck out back in the 5th. Brett Cecil is on. Runners at the corners. And the first pitch is up the middle and a base hit. That makes it a 4-3 Miami, trailing by a run here in this game. Ozuna is driven in all 3.
Can't wait to swing the bat when he gets into the box. First ball hitter. And he does it again. And he's jammed a little bit on this one, but he keeps his hands inside the ball. '67 RBIs now for Ozuna.
Here's Justin Bour, who is over 3. Strike 1. He struck out, grounded out to second, grounded to first. Lefties, that's what's surprising, batting .309. The righties .179. Off of Brett Cecil.
A lot of that came early too with the left-handers when he was not in sync with his breaking ball. 0-2. That curveball's tough to hit for a left-handed batter, but he was hanging a lot of them.
0-2 the count. Bour, who struggled a year ago against lefties, now playing every day, has improved in that regard. And he pops this one up. Voit is over. Foul territory. Makes the catch.
Sometimes you don't get what you deserve in this game, and it's a frustrating game, and sometimes you get more than you deserve. In this inning, the Cardinal relievers have gotten more than they've deserved, hanging 2 breaking balls that resulted in the 2 outs this inning. A strikeout to Yelich and a pop out to Bour. Both of them hangers.
And here's Martin Prado.
But you take them.
0 for 3, couple of strikeouts, and is also flied out to right. This is where he was one of the best a year ago. And there's strike 1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Prado slowly hit towards third. Glove by Jerko. Marlins pick up a run to cut the lead to 1. It's 4-3 St. Louis. Let's stretch. inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. Well, your Mike Matheny you start thinking about already. Next inning, 9th inning. Couple lefties coming up in Ichiro and Riddle. They have 2 righties on their bench, 1 lefty. One of the righties, though, a backup catcher. Junichi Tazawa. This will be appearance number 22. Marlins really felt going into the season from the right side of their bullpen they would be loaded.
They tried to shore it up, and he was part of that, but he has not been as good as he's been in the past. He's been around a while, former Red Sox, just not his year yet, but wouldn't count him out.
Here's Tommy Pham, 0 for 3. And the first pitch is taken low for a ball.
It's been a good ball game. A lot of things happening in this game, and you think about the strikeouts. Kohler a season high with 7. Waka with 9 on the Cardinals side. And so even with the strikeouts, there have been some good moments, base running moments, defensive moments, and a tight score. Felt like the game was on the line in the 6th inning. I just felt like the game was on the line in the 7th inning, and we're not done yet.
1 ball and 1 strike on the Cardinals center fielder Tommy Pham. Lines it foul. Watch out.
That's Tommy again, waiting on the fastball. We talked about him going the other way. He's letting the ball get in the zone deeper. He's not overcommitting so early, and you're seeing less swings and misses from Tommy Pham because of it. It's one thing you tell a young hitter when you're teaching a kid how to hit. You don't have to go out to get the ball. It's going to come to you. So you let the ball come to you. Tom Lawless had seen him many times teach hitting, and that's what he says. Guys will try to work to jump too much into the ball, and good thing Tommy didn't jump into that one.
The 2-2. Cardinals with home runs today from Luke Voit, Randall Grichuk, both solo home runs. And Voit added a bases loaded double that scored 2. It's 4-3 here in the home half of the 7th. Big gap in left center for Pham. 3-2 pitch. Out to right, sinking, and a base hit.
There's that right field swing again. Love it. Cardinals could use an extra run or two. Plaza Tire Service Fox Tracks location, middle. Needed to throw a strike. Ball's in on him. You see the ball is in on the plate. He's not hitting that ball way out in front of the plate, reaching out to get it, extending too far too early in his swing. He's letting that ball get into the zone, and then he's just trusting his hands and hitting the ball hard the other way.
And it brings in Jose Martinez. Single back in the 3rd and a run scored. Check on Pham. The Marlins with 2 consecutive wins in this series. On the road, they're 17-24. Compare that to Houston, or anybody in the league right now, to Houston. 31-9 on the road.
Historic.
They're just the 3rd team in the history of baseball, the long history of this game, to win 31 of their first 40 on the road. The 2001 Mariners, Ichiro was a part of that, and the 1906 Cubs, and now the 2017 Houston Astros. Liner to short, and a high throw. Pham back in safely to the bag at first.
What they teach base runners is to freeze on the line drive. I think a better way to say it is get back on a line drive. If you freeze, you're off the base, right? I think the thought is your first movement should be to stop and make sure the ball's not going to be caught. Otherwise, you run the risk of the double play.
Jed Jerko sitting on 12 home runs. And he hits it sharply past third. Into the corner. Pham racing to third. He'll be held up there. And Jerko trotting in slowly to second base with a double.
Prado's not happy with himself for the second time in this series, not being able to pick a ball that could have been a double play, especially with Jerko, who's not running well at the moment. Would have been a surefire double play, but it ends up as a double. This ball is hit hard, and Prado a little hard on himself, thinking he should have caught it. But that's the importance of having good fielders at third and at first. If they don't get a baseball, it's a double. If a middle infielder doesn't catch a ball, it's a single.
An intentional walk to Yadier Molina to bring up Luke Voit, who's accounted for 3 of the RBIs today. The new intentional walk rule study came out the other day. It has saved 24 seconds per game.
I thought the games were quicker.
Yeah, I know. You can really feel it. Interesting move here to bring in Luke Voit, who's had a big day already. They load him up. Strike one. Clearly, Don Mattingly not liking the matchup with Molina, wants to go against the rookie. He set up the potential of a double play.
I think it's the move to make, but it's only the move to make if it works.
The 0-1 pitch with the bases loaded. Luke Voit earlier in the game had the bases loaded. That was in the third. In the second, this is his home run. Big Mac Land is second in the big leagues. The double would drive in 2.
Boy, he could have a day right here, couldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he already has, but what an opportunity. Sometimes the game doesn't come to you. Sometimes it does.
Bases loaded, and the 1-1 pitch to the Cardinal rookie. 1-2. Inning started with a base hit by Tommy Pham. Line out by Martinez. Jerko the double. The intentional walk issued to Molina. It's a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes on Luke Voit.
You can go 3 or 4 games without an RBI opportunity. Voigt's had him today.
Two and 2. Muto wants to go visit. Who would have thought on opening day, and then fast forward to now, Tommy Pham, your everyday center fielder, Luke Voit playing a big role at first base, Jed Jerko, your everyday third baseman, Paul DeYoung at short, with Diaz, an all-star this time last year in the minor leagues.
Jose Martinez hitting third in your lineup.
Yeah. This big crowd ready to erupt for the St. Louisan. The 2-2.
Wonder what Tommy Pham may have done right there. Caught a cleat, perhaps.
The 2-2 pitch to Voit. Got him. The Cardinals this year, bases loaded, hitting .375 this year, second to only Houston, hitting .403.
Change up. Fooled Voit. A little over anxious perhaps. Randall Grichuk locked in his last at bat. Chance for more damage here.
First pitch to Grichuk. He's popped out to second. Struck out second time up. And then a line drive homer. A solo home run, his 8th of the year in the 6th inning. The 0-1 pitch to Randall Grichuk. Breaking ball and a strike. 0-2 the count. Trevor Rosenthal getting loose in the Cardinals' pen.
Wondering if the Cardinals might try to bridge from Cecil to Rosenthal. We've got a couple of left-handers coming up in the 8th inning. Trevor will be ready either way. Certainly capable of going 2 innings.
The 1-2. Grichuk with a fly ball out to center. And the Cardinals cannot capitalize. Bases loaded, 1 out. The strikeout of Voit. Fly out by Randall Grichuk. Rosenthal is ready. 4-3 our score. That Brett Cecil would stay in this game with the lefties coming up.
Trevor Rosenthal will be ready when needed, if needed, here in the 8th inning. Cecil was able to get a couple of outs after allowing a single to the first batter he faced, but with Ichiro and Riddle, the shortstop, coming up, I think it makes sense to extend the outing for Cecil. Again, a very tight game and a fun game here this afternoon.
Ichiro, a base hit to left, grounded out to second, walked in the 6th. Alex Mejia takes over at shortstop for the Cardinals. First pitch to Ichiro is strike one. Lined up the middle and a base hit. He's on base for the third time. So the tying run is on. Go ahead run comes to the plate.
There's the swing that I would have no idea how to teach. Bails a little, but still drops the bat head right on the baseball. Body's going one way, hands going another, baseball going up the middle.
Here's Riddle, the shortstop. See how well Jerko moves dealing with that leg issue that he's had. He's at third base. Bunt situation here. Riddle drops down the bunt. It's a beauty. And safe at second and at first. So base hit for Riddle. Cardinals will take a look. Garcia covering the bag at second base. Perfectly placed bunt.
I wonder if he just missed the bag there, and because I thought the throw beat him. The throw's there, but evidently the foot wasn't down yet. Is the foot down? The foot came down after the catch. That's why that call is right.
No challenge from the Cardinals.
It's the right call.
Mike Matheny was talking about in the postgame last night the issues of replay for many clubs around the game.
Thought that was fascinating. Mike was being very direct about the fact that they've had trouble, especially in some cities on the road, with the replays not being delivered at an adequate enough time for them to make a good decision. Baseball, smartly, I think, is trying to speed up the game so they don't want the managers to take forever to decide. But he believes that we have the technology to get the video there quicker. And there are some cities, I think his feeling is there's some cities that are doing a little gamesmanship on that.
You also mentioned the fact that you want to see the super slow-mo of the plays. You're not getting slow motion quickly enough to those in the video room. So nobody out, 2 runners on. A.J. Ellis will be the batter. So you're going to use your backup catcher here potentially to bunt. You may waste him in this spot where you think about the National League. Pitchers have to bunt all the time. Does Don Mattingly want to do that instead of this? That will not be the case. Cardinals, the corners are in. Ellis squares the bunt. It's the bunt down. Jerko has a play at third. Out there to first. Double play! It's a double play! And the biggest defensive play in this game.
Everybody doing the right thing. Jerko charging, even with the groin issue. Fields the ball off to his side so he can throw quickly. Mejia, quick throw to Garcia, who this time makes sure he has that foot on the bag. Look at that snap throw, and Mejia wasting no time getting rid of it. Terrific play by St. Louis.
And now it's D. Gordon. Real Muto is on deck. A lot of moving parts defensively on that play for the Cardinals.
Not an easy play. It's the wheel play. Jerko's going to come in. The shortstop's going to go to third, and Garcia's got that long run from holding the runner on at second to get to first base. So the wheel play is on. That means Mejia has third, trying to get that lead runner, and they get more than that because Garcia runs the, how far did he run? 80 feet to cover the bag. And he got there in a hurry. He's got to beat the guy bunting there, and that was not an easy task.
So 2 outs. Here's D. Gordon. Big day again. He scored 3 runs, 2 hits, was hit by a pitch, 2 for 3 on the afternoon. Runner at second for Miami. Strike one.
Dan, let me say also, we talk a lot about pinch hitters being ready, but when you go in defensively late in the game, there's a readiness there that Alex Mejia had to be a part of, because that's a tough, long throw, and if he's not loose, ready for that.
0-2. Outfield extremely shallow for Gordon. No balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs and a runner at second. A 1-run Cardinal lead. Gordon has struck out 48 times this year. Cecil would love to make it number 49. And the 0-2 slapped foul.
So Dan, I think we felt that the game was on the line in the 6th inning and in the 7th inning. I guess the 8th inning, you might as well add that to that list.
And Cecil is a pitch away from going out of this game unscathed, despite the fact that he's given up 5 base hits. Back to Cecil. Steps, throws, and the Cardinals turn the key double play. It's a 1-run St. Louis lead. Ball is brought to you by Bud Light, famous among friends, and by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Our score is 4-3 St. Louis, despite the fact they've been out hit 11-8. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is with us. Our Fox Sports Midwest crew. Harlan Garcia and our Chevy called to the pen.
We've seen him in the series. Garcia pitched here yesterday, gave up a run, had a couple of walks here yesterday. The ERA under 4. Cardinals would love an insurance run against the Marlins bullpen going into the top of the 9th inning in a fun game here this afternoon.
We're in the bottom of the 8th. 1-run lead. It's Garcia. Then Stephen Piscotty. He's at the on-deck circle. The top of the lineup, Matt Carpenter.
How about that play on the bunt? That's still in my mind, Dan, as an exciting play. A lot of guys doing the right thing, including Cecil throwing a strike.
Here's a 1-1. Garcia hits it in the air. On the infield, Martin Prado puts it away for the out. What a great deal on tickets. Philip at Philip 66 with 8 gallons or more now until September 25th. Receive up to 50% off on a pair of tickets to a Cardinals home game. For more information, visit cardinals.com/Philip66. One on, nobody on, and Stephen Piscotty the batter.
I think it's a fair statement to say Stephen has not been at his best yet this year. I don't really mean to say that critically. There's Soon Hwan Oh. Looks like he will have the 9th. Stephen's just got more in that tank. And not far from any of our minds that he's had some things to deal with this season on the personal side with his mom's health issues. Just love to see him have a terrific second half.
Cardinals still really searching for that number 3 hitter in their lineup. Much of that opportunity has been given to Piscotty. Here's a 1-2. And he's the kind of guy that can get hot and carry the club too.
I think you'd have to almost take a look at Tommy Pham in that position too. If Dexter Fowler comes back and got a spot for both of them to play.
Ouch. Piscotty hit by the pitch.
Stephen's been hit a lot this year too. He's had a lot of things like this.
It's the second Cardinal that's been hit in this game. The other was Carpenter back in the 4th inning.
Just remembering that time he was hit 3 times in one trip around the bases. He was hit at the plate, then hit on a throw down to second, then hit on a throw into home when he scored. Seems to be running okay. Chris Conroy does a great job, doesn't he?
One of our favorites too.
Oh my goodness, such a great guy.
Longtime trainer, was an assistant. Medical staff here with the Cardinals.
Adam Olson is the head athletic trainer for the Cardinals. Jeremy Clipperton and Chris Conroy. That's the team that travels and works long hours. If you're going to get treatment as a player, you have to be here early and you have to go see those guys.
Carpenter on base 3 times, pair of walks, runs scored, hit by pitch, and a line out. Realmuto, Yelich, Ozuna still have to get through those 3 in the top of the 9th. The Cardinals trying to add insurance. Carpenter, fly ball out to left. Ozuna makes the catch. And Piscotty back to the bag at first. With 2 outs, the batter will be Tommy Pham. Pham was robbed back in the first. Terrific play by D. Gordon, ranging to his left. Struck out in the third, again in the fourth, and a base hit to right in the seventh.
Right-hander's ready, but with Piscotty not being in scoring position, Don Mattingly, that's the tipping point for him to let the lefty face Tommy Pham. I think there's a lot of sense in that.
No balls and 2 strikes. On the inside corner, struck him out. The final boss, Seung-Hwan Oh. It's 4-3. To the post-game show. It's our Chevy Call to the Pen. June 21st, the last save for O. Came in last night's game, gave up a home run.
Scoreless inning the game before, so it is 3 in a row, as Al said. And what we've liked about O is the fastball movement has come back a bit. The little hop that he has on the fastball, but the slider is where he got in trouble here yesterday. And we'll see how he uses that in this appearance, without much margin for error.
And how big is it that Stanton was already used in this game back in the 6th inning? Did not start, was a pinch hitter.
Starts right off.
Looks at a strike with a slider.
Yeah, he starts right off with it. Piscotty now in right field. He stayed in the game. I guess you want to know if the slider's sharp, you start out with it.
And the 0-1. Bottom of the 6th, 11-2 Milwaukee. It's over Chicago, so looks like they would win that game more than likely. Cardinals win, they stay 5.5 back of the Brewers.
Boy, there's some tough outs this inning.
The 2-1 pitch. There's that late life that you were talking about with the fastball. The 2-2. Base hit into center.
O's in the game, but Trevor's ready.
The tying run aboard.
Second time we've seen Trevor up in this game.
The go-ahead run at the plate in Yelich. A single back in the third, double in the fifth. High chopper. Carpenter gloves. Race to the bag. He's there. Real Muto advancing to second base in scoring position.
I think that's a smart play by Matt. I mean, he just made sure you get an out, and really not an easy play either. He's coming off the bag and still has to go more to his right. Gloves it, thinks about flipping, but that would have been, or could have been, a disaster. And he saw that he was going to be able to beat Yelich to the bag. Smart play.
Here's Ozuna with 3 RBIs, 3 singles today, and a strikeout back in inning number 5. First pitch to him, and it's strike 1.
Surprised he swung at it.
The 0-1 hit out of play. Ozuna, it's been such a good year for him. Second in the National League with 30 hits with runners in scoring position. Second to only Paul Goldschmidt, who has 38. 0-2 the count.
Ozuna is so anxious in a good way. I mean, he's confident, maybe not over anxious, but he can't wait to hit. And I think the more you go off the plate right now with Ozuna, the better off you are. You might get him to swing and miss.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
You have to try it. He's so locked in.
Time called. Good pitch in on his hands.
Oh, he'd been away, and then he came in. Ozuna's not happy with himself that he missed that, but I think he got tied up talking to himself. That pitch is in. Tends to like the ball in, but you can't just throw every pitch away. You have to do a little bit of widening that plate so when you go outside, it looks further outside.
One, two, he's popped up. And out of play.
Had that set up well, and the pop up. You talk about this being a game of inches. That's a game of millimeters on the bat and on the swing to be in a pop up in fair territory or just in foul territory and being an out.
Realmuto at second base, representing the tying run. The 1-2. He got him. Strikeout of Ozuna.
And that's the slider of O we've been looking for. The put-away slider off the plate. He did get him to chase. Looks like a fastball to Ozuna, and by the time he swings, it's too late.
Then Yachty flipped the ball to second base to try to get Realmuto. It's an intentional walk of Bohr.
Don't see this very often. Putting the go-ahead run aboard. There's the flip to second.
He'll try anything.
The old school book is you don't put the go-ahead run on base. But that's old school. Game's different. Cardinals have done this move before this year and it's worked. They're hoping it works here this afternoon with O and Prado.
I was thinking if you would do this against anybody, it would have been the man that just struck out, Ozuna. So they do not pitch to Bohr. And here is Martin Prado. Now time is called.
Except with Ozuna, it would have been with just one out, so that makes it feel a little different.
Sure.
But still,
it's risky.
No question about it. Well, the last time Mike Matheny did it, he said it was risky at his post-game sound. He said, I know you're not supposed to do this, but it's the feel I had. And that's where, as the manager, you've got to go with what you feel. If Bohr beats you with a home run, you kick yourself. Sometimes you go with the book, sometimes you go against it. Marlins have good speed at second base. That's the run that matters right now in Realmuto. A base hit should score it, even though the Cardinals outfield is in.
First pitch, strike, the outside corner. Boy, that's big.
Should say about the outfield, that's the other thing with Bohr, you can't play the outfield where you're playing them now.
The 0-1 pitch. 0-2.
Been a good game, Danny, but it's only really a good game if you have a good finish.
One ball and two strikes. Tough pitch to take.
Oh, he twitched a little, didn't he?
So did the umpire. So did the Cardinals bench. Yadier Molina.
So did you.
Who's halfway out the door.
Glad you're back. We need you.
Here's a 2-2. Got him! Back to back to end the game. 4-3 the final. The move pays off. Luke Voigt, our Budweiser player of the game. He goes 2 for 4 and drives in 3. And a big win for the Cardinals as they earn the split.
Good start for Michael Wacha. It seems like a long time ago. 9 strikeouts for him. The Cardinals bullpen does a very nice job, and the final boss is the final boss again.
First save since June 21st. The long ball, the difference today. Luke Voigt into Big Mac land. Randall Grichuk as well. The Cardinals hold on. The post game is next. 4-3 the final.